Hey guys, check it out! You're watching Jonathan Clarke on YouTube! Oh no! This has truly been an unforgettable and really an enjoyable experience for me because so many people subscribe to this channel every day. This show has become a global phenomenon because of each and every one of you and how much you love and support Descendants of Zombies. And I realize that, and I know how much Descendants of Zombies means to each and every one of your hearts, either individually or collectively, because some of you have become the best of friends and formed the most beautiful friendships because of Descendants of Zombies. It's pretty apparent to me that some of those beautiful friendships of all time have happened because of Descendants of Zombies. And I think that as a YouTube creator, we've really got to show up on YouTube and we've really got to talk about our passions for Descendants of Zombies and all things Disney and Nickelodeon related in a way that the person watching these videos can relate to you too. Because I think there's nothing worse than a girl watching your video because she loves Descendants of Zombies and she can't relate to what you're saying or how you feel about the product she grew up with or she loves so much. So I think that everybody who uploads a video about Descendants of Zombies really has to think about the person watching a video, because the reality of this is a girl 7 to 17 years old is watching your video every single time you upload a video about Descendants of Zombies. And I think that the words thank you are never said enough. I say this because every single day at least 20 people subscribe to this YouTube channel and have put up over 75,000 channel views collectively. That is an effort. That shows me that you guys really do love every video that I've uploaded on this YouTube channel about Kylie, about Dove, about Sophia, about Ruby, who I have the biggest crush in the world on. I have undeniably had the biggest crush in the world on Ruby for forever, because I think Ruby was so passionate and so dedicated to everything that she did. And that's why you hear me say how I love Ruby so much, and I wish Ruby was here every night to play video games with me, because I think Ruby showcases a passion not only as an actress and a singer, which she loves to do to entertain each and every one of you, but she also has this undeniable passion for life and everything that goes with it. And I think Dove Cameron, for many, many years, was never given enough credit for showcasing her passion, like how she loved to read. And one thing I noticed about Dove Cameron's videos that she would record showing you a book that she was in the process of reading that she enjoyed so much is that nobody was ever there with her when she was telling you that. It was almost as if Thomas Doherty, who she was living at the time, or Ryan McCartan, didn't have that same appreciation for everything Dove Cameron was interested in. And Dove Cameron noticed that, and that's why she removed herself from every situation she was ever caught up within. I really appreciated Dove Cameron's qualities because Dove Cameron tried to connect with each and every one of us so much and made a consistent effort of doing that. And now Kylie Cantrell is doing the same thing. The thing about Kylie Cantrell that gets me every single time is how emotionally overcome she is every single time she talks to her fans, because she's very appreciative of each and every one of you, and she's so emotional about how she feels about life and how her life is going, and she lets you guys know how she's feeling. And I think that she doesn't deserve to be criticized for that. It's just how her heart kind of takes over sometimes, and sometimes when you even don't realize it or tend to forget about it, your heart really takes over, and it really speaks for you. And when it speaks for you, your emotions are really, really high, and they're magnified. And that's what Descendants of Zombies has really taught us, is just the value and appreciation that goes with a lifetime, because we only have one life to live, and because it only happens once. It are the people that comes into our lives that mean so much to us and make so much of a difference. Because I know that some of those beautiful friendships, either on the set of Descendants of Zombies or off the set of Descendants of Zombies, when it comes to everyday people who are fans of the product, are some of those beautiful friends of all time. And it's been 10 years since Descendants first premiered. If I take you back to July 31st, 2015, if I were to do that, and we were to go back in time and, exaggerate the fabric of time, we would remember becoming the best of friends because of Descendants of Zombies, either at school or just hanging out every day on the school bus, walking home. Everybody becomes friends because of Descendants of Zombies, because they have a favorite moment they forever and always cherish, a favorite song they love so much, a favorite character they dress up every year on Halloween because of. I think it's really cool when a girl shows up at your door every year on Halloween trying to get you to guess who they are, because they want to have fun in the moment. And they want moments like these to last for forever and always. And I think to upload a video about Descendants of Zombies, you not only got to talk about Descendants of Zombies, but you got to understand how the person that you see every day or watches your video every day feels about Descendants of Zombies. Kind of like how I talk about vampire TV shows all the time and vampire movies, which I was a huge fan of. I was a huge fan of a movie released back in the summer of 2004. It was called Van Helsing, and it was based off one of the most popular characters and one of the most revered characters in the Dracula novel. Well, I tell you about how I used to love to play a video game called Van Helsing, and there it is right there. The original Van Helsing video game on PlayStation 2. It was released in 2004. The first time that I had the opportunity to play that game would have been with my friend when we used to hang out on Friday night. We used to watch the original movie, of course, with Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale. And I remember how we had to play it. Years ago, technology wasn't as advanced as it is now. It's far from as advanced as it was now. And we had to actually put a new hard drive into an older Xbox, and then we had to download all the games. And I remember putting about 500 video games on an old Xbox hard drive, and one of those games was conveniently enough Van Helsing. And I remember playing that game and having so much fun playing it. And I also even have a game that's probably one of your guys' favorites that you're probably too young to remember, but this is the original Finding Nemo video game. And I remember how crazy everybody was about Finding Nemo. That one was huge. I'll show it to you guys one more time just in case you didn't see it. There are, of course, Nemo's dad and, of course, Dory on that case. And I remember playing that video game and how detailed Disney games were years ago. They were so fun to play. And that's why I forever advocated that Descendants should have a game too. I say that about Descendants because Descendants had so much wonderful merchandise. And it was the first franchise that actually had merchandise that attracted millions of people. So because it attracted millions of people like the Hannah Montana jackets did years ago, come to think of it, I don't think the Hannah Montana jackets were as revered as all of the Descendants dolls or the hoodies and the sweaters from the Worlds Collide tour. But I think that if you put people like Bridget and Chloe and Red into a video game and give fans the chance to experience the adventure and live it out like you did with Beauty and the Beast years ago or Hercules, I think that there would be a greater appreciation for fans of these games, because I do remember being a huge fan of movies like Van Helsing that were inspired because of video games and their story and their lore, because there's so much of a story that goes with characters like Van Helsing and, of course, Alice in Wonderland characters who we have yet to see a great deal of in the Descendants franchise that I, for one, am incredibly excited about. And I think that people like Ruby Rose Turner and Freya Skye can bring those characters to life. I could see Freya Skye being involved with not just the Zombies franchise, but also the Descendants franchise too, because she's so appreciative of it. I really do believe for her passion for the Vampire Diaries, and I say this because I've watched all 178 episodes of the Vampire Diaries. It's really hard to believe it's been almost 10 years since the Vampire Diaries had its grand finale. But I remember how revered that series was for how detailed it was. And I've often wanted to sit down with Freya Skye and watch the entire series from beginning to end and tell her how I feel about it, because I feel the same way, the exact same way she did about every moment of significance that we remember being a fan of the Vampire Diaries. It premiered in 2009, and from 2009 up to 2017, over the course of 7 through 8 seasons, we saw everything happen. For a cure for vampirism to be sacrificed for Damon and Salvatore to bring to Elena, to Caroline and Stefan's wedding, to how Damon eventually fell in love with Elena. I think we have, and all the sacrifices that the Salvatore brothers, Damon and Stefan, made for each other, and how much they thought over Elena, and how much they thought over Caroline, how Stefan eventually went on to sacrifice himself for the greater good. I think we remember all these storylines from the Vampire Diaries because it held a special place in our heart. And then you think about the lore and the history that goes with vampires and zombies, and you wonder if there's going to be a new chapter for the Zombies franchise, or if they told the story and completed it. That's the obvious, formidable conclusion, and it's way too obvious of a conclusion and far too early, I think, to draw a conclusion, especially when you can have a cure for being a zombie or a vampire. What if Stefan had the chance to come back and the new story began for the Vampire Diaries many years later? I mean, that's a question that we've had, unanswered for forever, that's remained unanswered through the annals of time for at least 10 years. What if Zed and Addison had more of a story to be told? I think that there are questions that we still have about zombies and forever have had about shows like The Vampire Diaries and even Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I mean, whatever happened to Spike when he just disappeared after sacrificing himself for the greater good when they closed the mouth of hell in the Buffy the Vampire TV series? I say this because those moments have forever and always stayed with me for forever. And the questions I've had about these series like Buffy and The Vampire Diaries and even True Blood and Zombies and Descendants many years later have forever remained unanswered. So because some 7-year-old girl has an unanswered question about Descendants, I really do believe that she deserves to have her questions answered. Like, is there more of a story for Mal and Ben to be told, even without Carlos being involved with it, which is pretty much just an excuse for them to have to close the book on Descendants of Zombies. And I think closing the book on Descendants of Zombies, it's too soon. Because in all honesty, I think that's what critics just want us to believe. And they say the worst, and they predict the worst, to get reactions of the fans who have forever and always had a special place reserved in their hearts for Descendants of Zombies, who may have attended the Worlds Collide Tour this past summer and had the time of their life at the Worlds Collide Tour. And I just want to let you guys know my heart is forever and always with you guys, because I wished that I would have had the opportunity to have attended the Worlds Collide Tour this year. Ticket prices began at $200. It's expected for leg 2 of the Worlds Collide Tour that ticket prices will begin anywhere from $200 to $250. But even though with the high ticket prices, I think the experience being so immersive and people being so appreciative of it, that's what makes it all worth it. And for the families that made so many sacrifices for their children to be a part of the Worlds Collide Tour, you guys deserve to be commended, because you guys are some of the best parents in the world. You guys are incredibly supportive of Descendants of Zombies. And to the parents who have been forever and always supportive of Descendants of Zombies, thought the music was cool, the story was very intriguing, I just want to say thank you for making all your child's dreams come true, because you realize how much of an importance Descendants of Zombies has forever and always meant to their hearts. Because I think that there's a greater appreciation to have been had and to have seen with Descendants of Zombies, and so much to discuss about the history of Cinderella and the history of Alice in Wonderland, because Alice in Wonderland's story dates all the way back to the late 1800s. It was produced for the first time and released on bookshelves and bookstores on Christmas of the 1800s, over 100 years ago. And there's so much of a history that goes with Alice in Wonderland. And thinking to yourself, hey, Jonathan Clarke, you know that book series was released for the first time on Christmas in the 1800s? Who are you? I'm a really big fan of this kind of thing. I'm a nostalgist, and I'm a Descendants analyst, or at least that's what a lot of people have referred to me as. So as a Descendants analyst, there's a greater appreciation to have been had with Descendants of Zombies. A lot of people are probably thinking I'm a vampire because I remember all these significant dates in history. But the thing is, because that's what a vampire does, he remembers all these, he or she can remember all these significant dates that have stood out throughout the hundreds and thousands of years of history. But I assure you guys, I'm not a vampire. I just had blood work done actually yesterday, and everything came back perfect, which means I'm going to live longer, which means I have to update this YouTube channel with more great videos for you guys about Descendants of Zombies. No vampire blood in my system, no signs of me turning into a zombie and transitioning, or at least not yet. The graveyard shift haven't got the better of me yet, or hasn't caught up with me. So there's still so much of a conversation to be had about Descendants of Zombies. And with how everybody seems to be zombieing out day after day in this world, one can never be too sure or too prepared. So at least you guys have Jonathan Clarke on YouTube to prepare you for the inevitable, which of course is a zombie apocalypse or an alien invasion. And with less than 100 days to go until this alien probe arrives on Earth, perhaps it's crypto from the video game Destroy All Humans, we really don't know. But apparently there's this large alien probe on the way to Earth to kill us all, and my friend from New York has been keeping me updated on how close this thing actually is to touching down on Earth. And I just want to take this opportunity to put it out there. If there is an alien probe on the way to Earth to kill us all, then I'm good to go. I'm good to die, because I have the support and the love of all these Descendants of Zombies fans. And because you guys are incredibly supportive of what I believe in for the future of Descendants of Zombies, this really has become the greatest honor of my life, and been the most fun that I've ever had, because I really do believe that talking about Ruby Rose Turner and Quality Control comes with a passion. And because it comes with a passion, you've not only got to talk about Quality Control and Ruby Rose Turner, you've really got to understand how Quality Control feels. Because it really breaks my heart when Quality Control is reduced to tears because of how somebody feels about her. And today I'm going to be doing a reaction video where I'll show you a retro Descendants Rise of Red interview when they were doing all the PR for Descendants Rise of Red's premiere on Disney Plus in 2024, eventually crossing over to Disney Channel. And one thing I want to show you guys is just how appreciative people like Kylie and Ruby have forever and always been of promoting the Rise of Red. Because I think it's always forever and always been a dream of Quality Control to be a part of franchises like Descendants and High School Musical. It was just, when and how Disney was going to approach them by giving them the opportunity to really run with characters like Red and Bridget, which they really brought to life. I mean, I've never seen a cast so appreciative of the moment that they were a part of, because they were a part of a lot of really great moments with Descendants of Zombies fans. And you guys were a part. You had the chance of being a part of all these legendary moments with your favorite stars. And so many fans were emotionally overcome when they had the opportunity to be involved so much and heavily involved with Kylie and Ruby. It was truly unbelievable. It was really cute how you guys would go up and ask people like Kylie and Dub from many years ago if you could be a part of the Descendants franchise. I found that really adorable because I'm over, almost 40 years old, and I still want to be a part of the Descendants franchise. I've wanted everything to do with Disney for forever, over the last 35 years. That's 3 decades and a half. Because I've been around a lot longer as a journalist and a radio show host and a YouTuber than many of you have been alive. So as a result of growing up as a millennial from 1986 to the year 2000, I had the distinct honor, that distinction of growing up in the 1990s and seeing the rise in popularity of the Backstreet Boys, the most revered boy band of all time. And I remember seeing their first album premiere on May 6th, 1996. That wasn't yesterday. And I remember seeing all these popular bands like NSYNC, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, Westlife come from out of nowhere and go to the top of every Billboard chart their singles were released on. And a lot of people years ago were one-hit wonders. So they would come out with one song and they would never be seen or heard from again and seemingly fade off into obscurity. And it got me thinking about how big of a fan I was of people like Jessica Simpson and Hilary Duff and how I wanted the best for them. And eventually they would go on to have one of the greatest careers of all time, and that's exactly what I wanted to have happen for them, because I remember seeing Jessica Simpson be so excited to promote her album with all the PR that went behind Sweet Kisses, which was the premiere album, the premiere record for Jessica Simpson, which she had the opportunity to record for the first time at 16 years old. And there are people now, 25 years later, having the honor of recording albums that are younger than what Jessica Simpson was, like Kylie Cantrell. And Goodie Bag, Denim, and See You Tonight are doing a fabulous job for the ratings, for the reviews it's receiving, and I think that it's outshining all the criticism that Kylie has received, because she's seen her fair share of criticism, and it's time we do something about that. And how we do something about that, one can't do that alone. If somebody's going to talk about Descendants of Zombies on YouTube, they've really got to show up, and they've really got to be on point about how they feel about Descendants of Zombies, and let everybody know who is a fan of Descendants of Zombies how they feel about it. I really wish I had more Descendants merchandise to back up my claim for being a fan of Descendants of Zombies, but as you can tell from my backdrop there with all my posters and my stuffies, Dumbo, Stitch, and Sonic, I'm a really big fan of this kind of thing, and you had better believe that I was a huge fan of when Sonic the Hedgehog had Sonic the Hedgehog 3 premiere just before the holidays, just last year, because I was front and center. I took center stage. And if Ruby Rose Turner would be the live-action Rapunzel for the live-action Tangled, I would take center stage without even thinking about it, because there's so much of an appreciation and allure that goes with a Rapunzel character, because it was based off a story where a father kept his daughter locked up in a tower for many years because he was afraid she was going to have something to do with men and be taken away from him. I think every story Disney has created and redistributed has a reason and a greater meaning of appreciation for love and respect for the ones that you grew up with. And I think everything falls into place for a reason. And I think that if Descendants 5 and Zombies 5 is meant to happen, it obviously will. Many of you will be teenagers by the time Zombies 5 happens, but that's going to be really cool, because you will love Zombies more than you ever have before, with the time allocated in between releases of these franchises, having new installments and new chapters. I think there will be better scripts, better stories, better music, like we saw for Zombies 4 Dawn of the Vampires, because undeniably the music had gotten better. The story was more intriguing than ever before, with these new characters, Victor and Nova, now coming into the franchise. It opens up the door more widely for more unpredictable moments to happen and be created, and that's something I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to be on this journey with you guys that you've had me on for forever. Thank you guys so much, because it gave me the honor, it showed me the distinction of becoming your voice of Descendants of Zombies, which is an honor that I think is the greatest honor I've ever had happen for me in my lifetime. Because for one to talk about Descendants of Zombies, he has to live his life like Descendants of Zombies, even if it means living near a soda plantation and a chemical plant that could explode at any given moment, which I think is really fun. And it's really cool, because you never know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. Every single time I record a video, there seems to be an army convoy passing by my house. Actually, just last night, the rain started pouring down, and I think there was this army convoy passing by my house. That's what's really cool about living in the center of the city, ladies and gentlemen. You never know what's going to happen, and at any given moment, a zombie apocalypse or an alien invasion could occur. And as I've said many times, one can never be too prepared for this kind of thing because you never know when it's going to transpire and you never know what's going to happen from one moment to the next. So seriously, guys, from my heart to yours for having made this YouTube channel one of the most popular Descendants of Zombies YouTube channels in the world right now, with nearly almost 4,000 subscribers having happened and 75,000 channel views. My heart can never thank you enough. I will be back later on this afternoon with a third podcast to upload for you guys where we'll discuss everything from Alice in Wonderland to Cinderella, and I hope you guys will join me for it because I have a lot to say where this goes, because this conversation can keep on going for a little while longer, because I think everybody is a fan of Descendants of Zombies some way or somehow. They fall in love with these franchises, and they've become some of the most revered and the most popular in Disney history. And it goes without saying that Descendants of Zombies has touched all of our hearts in so many unique ways and unforgettable ways, and I've never felt more honored to be your voice of Descendants of Zombies for however long you guys have shown me the honor and given me the distinction of being your voice of Descendants of Zombies. So seriously, guys, from my heart to yours, thank you so much. Keep Descendants of Zombies in your heart forever, and always showcase your passion by listening to your favorite songs and never forgetting about your favorite moments and your favorite stars, because they need you just as much as you need them, and that's the best way I can put it for you guys. Thank you so much for allowing me to have been your voice of Descendants of Zombies over this last year. It's been a year I will never ever forget. And the cool thing is, and the exciting thing about this is, we still have a long way to go, and we will get there together as fans of Descendants of Zombies as we stay calm and zombie on into that foreseeable future, which is something I'm very excited to be a part of with each and every one of you. Guys, seriously, thank you so much, because life really is sweeter when all of us are.